Once again, my name is Devon Miller with Western Michigan University. I'm the BIM, basically the building commissioning specialist, but basically what that means, I oversee commissioning on campus, as well as I oversee BIM along with my cohort, Janie Hart, she's in the other room, and I also oversee all the lead projects on campus as well. So I'm kind of all in one person, I guess. So today what I'm going to be focusing on is our BIM program and kind of our BIM 360 deployment to our trade. So that's what I'll be focused on today. Just some little information about me. I'm fairly new to facilities. My background, I started my career at Meijer stores. I know some of you may not be familiar with Meijer. If you think of Walmart, Meijer was the first super center combining both groceries and retail. So I started my career with Meijer, their corporate headquarters in Grand Rapids. So my background is mostly in building automation controls, project management, and I got my degree from Michigan Tech up in the UP with a BS in mechanical engineering. So I'm a LEED accredited professional, and I'm also a CM commissioning process management professional. So basically I'll give you some fast facts about Western, kind of give you an idea how Western is broken down, and then get into our BIM program. For most of you that are familiar with Western University, established in 1903, enrollment is roughly over 24,000 students, roughly 1,200 acres, 167 buildings, we say about 138. 8 million square feet of university space. You can see we got 3 campuses, our main campus, East Campus, and our Parkview campus, which just houses our College of Engineering building. Housed roughly around 6,400 students and 39 miles of sidewalk and 26 lane miles of roadway and about 49 miles of utilities. This is kind of how we're broken up. Now myself, I'm in the engineering division, but you know how we're broken down is we got architectural design division, construction division, engineering division, planning, space management, capital projects, operations, and administration. So as a commissioning administrator specialist, I'm in the engineering division. So with our maintenance program, or with our BIM program, what really I'm going to basically be focusing on is how we basically took our BIM initiative and kind of deployed it to our trades. So basically, this is what I'm going over is the actually training manual that we went through when we trained our trades on how to use the iPads that they have. Each trade, we have 110 skilled trades. Each one of them have an iPad that they can use for work orders as well as getting their BIM models with that iPad as well. So what we were going to make sure they understood is understand what BIM is. You know, we want to teach them how to learn how to access and navigate the models using their iPad. And then we want to train them how to access the data within that BIM model. And then at the end of the training session, we always want to ask them to get their feedback so they feel that they're involved with the process, just to make sure the stuff that we're giving them is, you know, good information for them. So first thing we start with is educate them what is BIM, because a lot of them never heard of it, not familiar with it. So we try to give them, you know, a better understanding what it is. So as you can see here in this slide, on the right-hand side, that's actually Sprawl Tower, our skyscraper on campus. And on the left, if you can see it, is actually the BIM model. So they can see what the difference is between the two. Then we kind of go over, you know, have an understanding what BIM is. So we tell them is the building, then you add some information to it, and then you add some equipment or model to it. So that's how they understand what BIM is for. So it's building plus information plus modeling. That was the easiest way for us for them to really understand what BIM means. So we want to show them how we start with our case. I know, you know, earlier sessions I attended that it really comes down to you as the owner, how detailed you want your equipment to be. Now for us, we were highly detailed. So we try to make sure that the piece of equipment was closest to representative of the piece of equipment they're going to be servicing. You don't have to do that. We just chose that route. Okay, so what we end up doing is going to the manufacturer's website. So if it was an R.L. Deltman pump, we went to their website, actually found that model and that pump model and put it into our model. If we had some older pieces of equipment, air handlers, we have air handlers that are really old, where that company may not even be around anymore. So our students actually custom built based on the drawings. So they custom built that air handler and put it in a file as a custom piece of equipment. So that's just how we did it. I'm not saying that's what you want to do. It's really up to you as an owner. How detailed do you want your information to be? Okay? And then modeling, showing them how they can access data with their iPad or with a computer. So we want to educate what's in it. So for us, like other presentations, most of our models are existing buildings. We only have mechanical equipment. That's what we started with. So we say 8 categories, but it's basically 12 pieces of equipment. Air handlers, pumps, sump pumps, chillers, exhaust fans, supply fans, just stuff they touch on a routine basis. So you won't see any electrical gear in our existing buildings. You won't see any, let's say, you won't see anything architecturally as far as carpet, none of that stuff is in there. So just basically a model with a white box with equipment in it. That's it. So we really want to start kind of somewhere easy, and we figure the mechanical equipment was the easiest place to start. Our new buildings is totally different. Our new buildings is we get LOD of 500. So basically we get everything. And that's what we try to educate them on, is that there's 2 separates. Existing, basically a LOD of 200, 250, 300 if you want to go that route. Our new buildings, 500. Because actually we want to get everything, as far as the carpet material, as far as the ceiling type, as far as the windows, as far as the doors, everything. So that's what we get with our new buildings. So what kind of equipment can we search for? As I broke it down, this is the type of equipment that we're putting in all of our existing models. So you can see there, air handling, so rooftop equipment, air compressors, we have house air, control air, chillers. We have anything from electric to rotatory, or we actually have some absorption chillers as well. Cooling towers, exhaust fans, supply fans, smoke parish fans, pumps, chill water, heating hot water, and then some refrigeration equipment, condensing units and things of that sort. So how can you find what can you find with that piece of equipment? So as I mentioned to you guys before, we have certain information that we talk to our trades that was pertinent to them. And this is the pertinent information that we get. So we are looking for 20 pieces of information off that piece of equipment. So we want to know the subtype description, we want to know the type description, the subscription, the tag number for that, that's our asset tag number. So an air handler has a specific TMA number. Location, manufacturer, model, serial number, filter type, filter size, filter quantity, motor ID, motor model number, motor serial number, horsepower, the motor frame, bearing coupling size, belt name, belt size, belt quantity. Those are 20 parameters that we want off the mechanical piece of equipment that we put in our existing models. That was information our trade said was critical to them to maintain that piece of equipment. We also put links in our models. So what we link is we link our sequence of operations, we link the submittal, we link the pump curve, we link the O&M manual, and we link the fan curve. So basically, they have all that information to touch with their fingers before they even leave their shop to go service that piece of equipment. So those links we put in Revit. I know when we did our first new building, which is our Zhang Archives facility, the CM actually put the links in Navisworks. So you can put them in either or. We found it better to put the links in Revit than Navisworks. So we always ask them what else do they want. Most of them are fine with that. So that's where we started with. Now we basically want to show them how do they access the building. So with our iPads, what our IT end up doing is they end up creating what we call a tech website on the iPads. That was something our IT created. So basically what they end up doing is they actually log in, like they were logging into their desktop. They log in, so it asks for their BroncoNet ID and their unique password. They log in, and then basically they go to facility floor plans, and then from there, they would go to, you can't hardly see it, they will select the building they want to see. So they will select that building and do a search, and then it's going to pull up certain information. So it's going to pull up, okay, do you want to bring up the base plan, or what we call simple floor plans? Do you want to bring up the BIM model, which is the Revit model, or in this case, Navisworks model? So they just ask, what do you want to bring up? And then most places they're going to select BIM, which is down here. It's hard to see, but it's down there. And then when they click on that, it's going to say, well, how do you want to open it? In our case, it's going to open in Glue, BIM 360 Glue, because that app is already on the iPad. That's a preloaded application that our IT puts on every single iPad that our skilled trades have. And in this case is our Health and Human Services building, so that's what it pulls up. Now, you will probably ask, what are the things in red? How we want to distinct equipment is red, because we want to make the equipment pop. So anything that's red, they know is an asset, mechanical asset that we included in the model. So right now, as you can see, those will be exhaust fans on the roof. So if you clicked on that, you can get information on that. Other thing we want to teach them how to navigate. So we show them here, you got a joystick. This button right here, the iPad's out there kind of locked, but that is like, it puts you, if I'm in a room, if I had the iPad right here and I was looking at that building, if I press that button, it makes me as a reference point. And I can take the iPad and shoot it, point it up, turn it to the left, and it will move like I'm standing in that spot in time, in that model. So it's just kind of cool part. If you want someone to see this room, they can just stand here at their office, hit that button, it's going to put you in that spot in the room, and you just move the iPad around. It's like you're standing in that room at that spot and see everything you wanted to see. This right here is just like a gravity button. It just keeps you from going through floors, walls, and doors and all that stuff. It just keeps you in the room so that you don't get lost. So most people use it when you're walking downstairs, or if you're in a room and you just want to stay within a room. That just keeps you from walking through a wall. So, and we just go through each one with them. We show them how to exit out of the model as well. There's always a help button that will tell you, what, if you have questions or you don't understand what a button does, or a help button that's within the Glue app that kind of tells you what you need to know, gives you basic descriptions on everything. So here we go through each one of these icons. That right there is a button that kind of controls the visibility of the models and the objects. Save views. Each one of our models, what our students did was really cool, is they save viewpoints. So if you have multiple entries into a mechanical room, they save that as a viewpoint, so that they can simply, instead of just walking through the whole building, they can just click on that button and go to a landing spot that our students created. So they put them right there. So if you want to get into the mechanical room versus one going in the north entrance or east entrance, you go to that point, put you right there at that landing spot. So they created a views for each landing spot for each mechanical room in the building. You can also measure stuff. So if they want to measure between an air handler and a wall, you can click on a corner of the air handler and drag it over, and it'll give you the distance you have, clearance you have between the air handler and the wall. It measures everything. Or if you want to get clearance between the air handler or pipe, it measures everything for you. Home view, ever get lost, wherever you save as your home view, that one screen that you saw at the beginning, the 3D rendition of the Health and Human Services building, that's the home view. So every home view you have is the basic aerial view of the building. That's our home view. So it takes you automatically there if you've got lost. Like I said, that's the gravity button. And immersion view, like I was saying, just puts you in a spot within the model. And that's the walk, that's the joystick. So most of them thought that was pretty cool. You just use a joystick to maneuver around into the build within the model. We went over some action views, just like like my screen here is a touch screen, so you can use your finger to maneuver around, 2 fingers to to zoom in, zoom out. That you have that capability as well, so we go over that with them. So like I was saying, so with every model, what our students end up doing is you have views. You have 3D views, and there's 11 distinct ones, and then we have landing points. There's 10 distinct points in the model that our students have created that puts you right there. So if you want to get into the lower mechanical room, if you know what room number that is, you click on that button and it'll take you straight there to that landing point. So that's how we broke it up for them, make it easier for them to navigate to the building. Yes.
Techs have any issues when they're in the mechanical rooms getting access to this data because it's in the cloud, right?
No, once they load it onto the machines on the machine. So the cool thing about Glue is that right now the iPad out there has, originally we thought we could only hold around 15 models. The one out there has more than that. So at some point in time, it's probably going to start purging as you start adding more and more and more. At some point, it's going to start purging models to get the new one up. So once you load it on once you upload it to your iPad, it's there. So you can go anywhere. It's there for you to have. What we always tell them to do for that particular building. But what we try to tell them is that if you don't, what we try to get them to do is delete. Once you're done with it, delete it and then reopen it again so you have the most current version. Because it won't update. If we do an update on the server, if you have it uploaded to your iPad, you won't see it. Right. So we always tell them to go, at some point in time, every week, you probably want to re-upload that model so that you have the most accurate one. So that's how we explain it. But yeah, no. As long as you have a Wi-Fi connection to initially get it to upload it to your iPad, you don't need Wi-Fi anymore.
Yeah, but Devon, I mean, to that point though, yeah, you're correct. You're correct in the fact that you don't need internet connection once it's downloaded to your iPad. But because of how you do it and how we've done it in other situations, and we have the links to the documents, you can view the data offline because that's part of the model. But that hyperlink that takes you out to the web to get that documentation, that's not available to you if you don't have Wi-Fi.
Correct. That is correct. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, that is correct. So as you can see, these are the different views that our students have stored. So there is a landing point for the basement, first floor, second floor, landing point for the third floor, and then we have some sectional areas for first, second, third, fourth, and the basement floor. So that's just thing they thought would be helpful for trades, so they're not just blindly walking through the model. So, and this is kind of what you're seeing, what we're saying. So this is like what you would see if you went to one of those. It just puts you in a landing area on that floor. Here, different sectional views. So basically just a cutaway. So here, as you can see here, that's a cutaway of one of the floors, and that's what you'll see is kind of like an aerial view, and it just cuts the floor away so you can see where you are. So if you want to find what particular room you want to go to, you can just go to that room at that aerial view. Mechanical views, like I said, this right here is one of the entry points into our lower mechanical room for our Health and Human Services. So they create a landing point that puts you right there in the view of that mechanical room. So now they can go straight there, and they can see all the air handlers, because most of our air handlers are usually in a row. Just mostly your facilities, you walk in, and usually your air handlers are pretty much right next to each other. Is there a question? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Chillers is another view we have of the mechanical room where the chillers are. And this is a top view, so if they wanted to look at the mechanical room from a top view, we have that as a viewpoint for our trades. Now, what we try to do is we give them tasks. So one of the things we did, make them involved so they truly understand, not afraid of it, we give them a task. So we just say, hey, open mechanical view, open a mechanical view from room 2014. That's a task for them. And we let them do that. We don't help them. We'll help them after a period of time to see if they can get there. And that's what, that would look like. So on the wall there would be a Mitsubishi Mr. Slim evaporator unit on the wall. That's what they would see if they made it there, navigated there successfully. Once we get them there, we do the same thing. We show them how to walk, how to turn around, and things of that nature so they understand how to use the joystick. Because most of them, we got a lot of older trades that have been there 20, 25, 30 years. So a lot of them are I don't want technology, just give me a wrench and I'm fine. So those are ones we just kind of have to, help them, understand how to use. Other ones are very tech savvy, most of them have an iPad at home and things of that nature, so they're not afraid of using it. So we try to be as hands-on as much as possible so that they truly understand that this is something that's going to help them with their day-to-day, jobs. And I just animation to show them how to walk around. Also look around, like I said, you can use your fingers as well. So we show them, how they can use their finger to kind of navigate left and right, up and down, and so forth. We walk through the gravity button with them, how that works. And using the difference of using one finger to rotate and two fingers to zoom in and out, we should go over that with them as well. We give them another task. This task, we want them to find this piece of equipment that's located in the basement of room 0590. So most likely, if they paid attention, they would know that we create a landing point for the basement. So they will most likely go to the mechanical views, click on that, and they will find that landing point that put them there. If they were, because that's what we want them to do. We want them to know, okay, let me remember, that's right, he created a landing point for that area, so let me go to that landing point, puts me there, and then they can find the area handler very easy. And then we give them a hint as well. So if they get stuck, we say, hey, there's a hint there for them to kind of understand where they need to go. And if they did it right, they would get there. Then we start getting to them, show them, okay, what kind of information can you see? So let me go back to that screen here. So here, anytime you click on a piece of equipment, 3 icons pop up. I think this is a Y icon, that's an I, and that one on the right is a cube that has an I in it. That's the information one. So if they click on that, they're going to get all the information that I told you guys about the 20 parameters that we want for that piece of equipment. So if they click on that, that's the information button. The eyeball is to hide stuff. So if you had a VAV box above the ceiling, they click on the ceiling, hit the eyeball, and the ceiling is hidden, and then now you can see that piece of equipment behind the ceiling. So that's really key on our new buildings when they need to understand how is a piping run underneath the floor. They can click on the floor, it turns blue, hide it, and they can see all the conduit underneath the floor. So. Documentation, like I said, we have documents in here in our other models. So we explain to them how they find them. So here's a demonstration that we show them. So this is one of these, I think it's an exhaust fan that's on the wall. They can isolate it using that Y button, the cube with a Y on it, that isolates that piece of equipment. Like I said, the eyeball hides it, and the eye gives you properties. So when you hit the property tabs, it pops up with these elements or properties within it, and you just hit the thing to expand those down. So element ID is which we mostly focus on. Element gives you all that information I was telling you about. So here, if they clicked on that, that gives them the belt size, the belt name. There's no bearing there, but it gives them the motor frame, motor model, motor manufacturer, and it gives them the type description. So the subtype description is exhaust fan. So they know that's an exhaust fan in that room. And then that's the link I was telling you about. So if they wanted to get the O&M manual for that exhaust fan, we create a link for them, and it automatically pulls up that O&M manual for that piece of equipment. Another task, we want them, so once we walk that to them, we give them a task, get the belt size for supply fan, air handler 3 located in the basement. So if they've been following each step we walk through, they should be now know, I know to go to that landing point, I know to look for the asset tag ID on the piece of equipment, and I know to hit the property buttons to be able to pull up the information on that air handler. We give them a hint, again, and there you go. So if they did it right, that's what they would get to. So now they can see what the belt size is for air handler 3, because all of our equipment have the asset tag on it. So they should be able to locate it easily, because our students put the actual TMA tag on every single piece of equipment. So they can identify, this is an air handler, this is AHU3, supply fan 3. Yes.
Is there a reason, and I noticed this in one of your earlier slides too, I mean, I noticed that you put that on there. Is there any rhyme or reason for which side they put that on?
No.
As model text, because I noticed, I mean, and this is just my brain with, I know how people in the field work, that nice section cut that's almost a plan view, I noticed that's only shown like on an elevation. Is there any reason you chose not to put it in plan?
That is a good question I have to ask. I think most of them just put it where they think it would be easily findable based on the viewpoint they get into.
Yeah, I was just wondering from that section cut, then you could just look and zoom in.
Correct.
But
Yes, sir.
You said you had students build or create custom equipment,
Yes, that's a custom piece of equipment right there.
custom piece of equipment, and I'm assuming, make an assumption that they were mechanical engineering students.
From 2011 to 2013, we had 6 students that did just existing buildings. They just modeled the buildings. When Janie and I came on board, because when she came on, Janie has a plethora of experience with Revit. From her experience as being working, getting her master's from Michigan in architecture and working for various design firms. So she understood Revit. So her thing was she wanted to make sure that we focus on students with Revit. So we actually went out to our College of Engineering to basically talk to the professionals and find out which one of their students they would recommend or bring to us to interview that have Revit experience. So that's when we landed 2 foreign students, one from Rome, Vincenzo, and Ronald from the Dominican Republic. Both of them use Revit back in their home countries. So they already, because over there, foreign students do a lot of stuff because they doing design work, especially engineering students. So I know that Vince did something with the parliament there in Italy, doing some design work with Revit, and Ronald did some stuff in Dominica using Revit. So they had Revit experience, so they were really helpful. Our third student was a paper engineering student. He had no Revit experience whatsoever and picked it up like that. So I would say if you're going to do this, you're going to have students do it, I would really focus on students that either have some type of CAD background or has experience with Revit, because I think most of them are learning Revit in class these days.
Okay, so they use Revit to actually
Correct.
create the
Correct.
equipment projects.
Correct. So like this piece of equipment, they basically created this model they created going back to our drawings. Because one of the things that Vince ran into, which you're going to run into, is how, because with an air handler has coils in it, air handler has fans in it. Well, there's only 2 ways that you can do to embed. Either you can embed the data, or you can create a separate component with the fan. So when you see here, go back to the screen. what you will see on the air handlers in this building, the air handler itself is one component, the supply fan is a separate component. They did that because of the information we're trying to get on the supply fan, as well as information we're trying to get in the air handler. Because they felt that was easier to do than to try to embed the information inside of one component. So, I know in other building we have an air handler that has a supply fan array. So it has 8 supply fans within it. They actually created each supply fan in the side of the unit. So they have a different component for each supply fan because that was information that our trades need for each individual supply fan. So they created a component on the side of the air handler. So if our trades didn't want to see the air handler itself, but each supply fan, you clicked on the supply fan and boom, there's the information for that specific supply fan. So this is just gives you something with this O&M manual for this. So what happens when they click on that link for the O&M manual, same thing. They have to log in. So in that spot, what Josh was saying, they would need Wi-Fi connection because they have to log in with their credentials because where that's going is back to our server where that document is housed. So for that part, they would need Wi-Fi connection. This is what we call our file search tool. So there we have specific, we don't use a document management like most of you. We have our own homebred system that works sometimes. So long as someone named the document right, where it's the building number, CISI number for that piece of equipment, and then what it actually is, the file search tool will find that document, and that's what it will pull up. And like right there, so right now, these are all the O&M manuals that's in that with those distinct things, and they just pick which one they want. So that's coming right from our server. And once they they hit link, it pulls it up. So we give them another task. Once we do that, we give them another task to say, go find the O&M manual for that chiller located in the basement. Same thing. So these tasks, I would say if you're going to do this training, give them tasks because that's the only way they're going to remember how to do this in a routine basis when they're out in the field. Yes?
Yeah, I totally agree. When in the process did you do the training? When you had one building, when you had 5?
We did a process that we actually did training once we had 24 buildings.
Okay. And how many is that of the whole? How many buildings?
We have 138 buildings, so 24. So we basically just barely started early. So how we were doing our buildings, so we know, I think most of you guys, our buildings are categorized as general fund building, which are just basically our classrooms, things, and we have what we call our DOSA buildings, which is housing, dining, those are separate. So right now, this project, we're just focusing on our general fund buildings and not our DOSA buildings. So when you look at that, we're scheduled to have all those buildings done by summer 2016. That's where our goal is.
And what do you do with follow-up training?
We just tell them come in as they need, as we did this one, because this one we went through, we had some large class sizes. If I was going to do it again, I would break it down to more smaller class sizes. Because the one thing is, as you guys know, when you get everybody in one room and you're trying to hit the Wi-Fi at the same time, so we're all trying to upload these models and everybody's saying, what is going on? It was taking forever to get them all loaded on the iPads because of the bandwidth was being used up. Because yeah, all these iPads in one location. So, so I would say if you're going to do this, break it up in a little smaller because that's the one thing. So we learned, so one of the things we did with the second training session was we had all the models preloaded before they came into the class. But we always tell them, look guys, this is continuous training. So if you have questions, stop by Janie's office. The students will be more than happy to walk you through. So right now, no one has come back in, but we will have a follow-up as we get more buildings on, as we get more buildings completed. Yes.
So did your workforce already have the iPads for work
Yes.
order management?
Yes.
So they're doing all their work order tickets on the iPads already?
Yes.
And now you're adding this feature to it?
Correct. Because they knew we were doing it, they kept asking, when you going to be done? 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 So it was kind of like, we're working on it. We didn't want to train them on one building because most of the buildings we're doing may just be one regional shop, and we wanted to get a little bit more so that we can pretty much target multiple regional shops, because our trays are broken down into regional shops. I'm not sure if that's what most of you guys are used to, but that's how our trays are broken down. And they're broken down into skilled trades area. So we have maintenance mechanics, chiller mechanics, carpenters, pipe fitters, and so forth. So most of them, we focused mostly on, this training was mostly on the maintenance mechanics per se, because we don't have pipes in any of these models, our existing models. We don't have electrical equipment in any of our existing models. So they kind of missed out. We did train them, they came to it. So in that case, we maybe pulled up our newest building, which was Zing, that's been done, which is everything, but not all of them service that building. Just one regional shop services that building. So, so the biggest thing they keep telling us is, what is the next area you guys going to do? So right now, we haven't decided that yet until we get this part done. We got to figure out what is going to be our next thing that we're going to tackle. So same thing to go through that task here. That's the owner manual for that particular chiller. They're at Health and Human Services. So this is what I was telling you about with components. So air handler, our students create two separate components. You got the air handler itself, got the supply fan. Because how our TMA is broken down is that air handler has some specific information, the supply fan has some specific information, the return fan has some specific information, and then you actually have coils and things of that nature. So we found it easier to create two different components. Even though when you go to the air handler physically, it doesn't look like that because it's inside the unit. That's how our students felt it was best to capture it so the guys can get the information, because the other way would be to embed it into the air handler itself. So I believe our new buildings are being done that way, but our existing buildings are not. Okay. Another one with our compressors. So this one, separate components, because the air compressor has multiple functions to it with multiple pieces of information. Some people may say that's overboard, but that's how our students felt was the best way to model that piece of equipment, to make sure that you get the information that you're looking for. So if you were looking just for this information, there it is. If you were looking for this information, there it is. So a little bit more time and effort, but that's what we felt was best.
But at the end of the day, I mean, I think the key to think about here is I think we all look at this and go, holy crap, that's a lot of work to break that down like that, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, what you're doing, you may say it's more time, but if you were to try and put that in and embed the data like you're saying, because TMA and your CMMS lists those as separate assets, it would be almost impossible to create a bidirectional link for that data. And because also this goes to, you're in Web TMA, TMA has a Revit plugin, and so what TMA does is you have to have an individual object for that asset, and once you do that and tie it together, you can go back and forth all day at what you want. And so for you, it had much more to do with your data structure and setting up that bidirectional flow through TMA than it did with embedding or not embedding.
Correct.
Right. Thank you for the point, because as an IT person, right, the trade people do need to tell you what they want, but you need to create a one-to-one relationship so it works for the input.
And that's why this is done.
Right.
It's the one-to-one.
Right. So everybody should be in the room.
Everybody should be doing this if they're one-to-one in their CMMS.
Yeah.
Correct. Because the biggest thing for us, this right here, is the key to how everything works, is our tag number. That is the matching parameter between Revit and TMA. Because when you sync those two, that's how the fields know what needs to populate. So if you try to embed the information in the model, it probably ain't gonna push. It may push one aspect of it, but you're missing everything else. That's how our Zing building was done. Right now, we cannot, we had to probably go back in there and deconstruct that one because everything was embedded in the area handler. And I think if we pushed it, I don't think everything's going to push properly because of that.
That's what I was going to ask you. Did you then, are you embedding that into your BIM implementation?
Our students were when we were, our housing project, what our students did is that the BIM coordinator for Miller Davis, he actually took the initiative to contact them and say, hey, how are you guys doing the equipment? Because if you're embedding it, it probably won't work. So they got together in-house and went through and worked together, kind of worked together. So
who took on the modeling for the new?
How we have it right now, and this is part of the other presentation I'm not doing because I did it for the webinar series, and I thought this would probably be better for the people attending this one, is that you have to establish a gatekeeper. So depending on, you as the owner has to decide who is best to be the gatekeeper for the BIM model. In our case, 90% of the time, it's our CM. Our medical school, as Chuck has mentioned, it was our A&E, Deacon and Hammond. They were the BIM gatekeepers for that. But majority of the time, it's either going to be Chrisman Construction, because Chrisman has done a lot of projects for us. They're the ones that did our original first BIM model. And so it's usually our gatekeeper is the CM.
Did they give it to you like that?
Yes, because we asked for it like that. That's part of our BIM mixed use plan. We asked for that like that.
Okay, that's what
So they might not like it. I mean, we got some pushback on, we got a lot of pushback on our housing because our housing houses 750 beds. So I had to kind of, what's the word, compromise with our architect because their thing was there's no way that we can model every single room in both of these buildings to the detail that you guys are asking for. So we ended up, the compromise was like rooms, just model like rooms. And then all the common areas will be modeled. So like rooms are, we're gonna get all the carpet, walls, windows, lights, all that for all the like rooms. All the common areas in the building are being modeled. So that was a compromise we made for that one because the size, because it's basically I forgot what the total square foot of this building, but it's basically two different housing complexes, and that was the compromise I made with them on that particular one.
To the MVP system.
No, we get all that from the MEP.
But who's doing the modeling for the MVP?
That's the CM and the subs. So the subs and those guys add the models when they're doing their takeoffs and all that stuff, and they're building they get the architectural model from the architect. They basically use that and start adding their piece of equipment.
So were your subs working in Revit on this
Yes,
project?
a lot of our subs hired firms that actually did Revit. So if they don't have a Revit person on their staff, they're subbing that work out to a Tower Pinkster, CAD, whoever. So they're subbing that out to someone that has BIM or does BIM for them. Some companies, subcontractors have a BIM person on their staff. Because as more and more that people are transitioning to this, as owners and construction are going to BIM, a lot of those firms are going out and hiring these people to be on part of their organizations, while others are not, but they're subbing it out to someone that has experience doing it. So in our case, there is a person that knows Revit that is putting the information in our models for all of our new construction. So folder structure kind of goes into more information here. They, basically getting the properties in the chiller, like I was going over here. Now, some fields, if it's blank, like here, because our guys were asking, well, why is that blank? Well, because the filter doesn't apply with a chiller. So if it's not applicable, it's not going to fill that field in. So, even though we're asking those 20 parameters, the only parameters that are going to show up is all the parameters that apply for that piece of equipment. So if there is no filter per se for that piece of equipment, it won't show it. If there's no belt in a direct drive, it won't show it. It will just say direct drive or so forth. So summary, we get through, we show them, basically they should have a better understanding of BIM, how to access the models from our iPad. find the equipment information, retrieve the PDFs and documentation, and that's pretty much the training session that we go through. So with that, is there any other questions you guys have that I can answer? Kind of went through faster than I thought it was going to get through, but yeah, so like I said, this was done. And at the end, we always ask for feedback from our trades to make sure that if they felt the training was adequate. Most of them thought it was. A lot of them, like I said, were asking for more equipment. Our electricians really want us to go that next because they want us to, because their biggest thing is, what they probably have you, their biggest thing is they want to be able to say, where is that conduit at? They want the as-built showing how was that conduit ran. I know how to draw and show it, but I know that wasn't ran that way. When are you guys going to start adding that stuff in there? We haven't gotten to that thing yet because we told them probably won't happen. Probably won't happen because even on our new buildings, you know, we don't model anything below 2 inches. So if it's 2 inches or, we basically do 2 inches or above. Anything below that, we're not doing. So we don't do conduit below any kind of pipe. Anything 2 inches or smaller, we don't have in our new construction. So that's something you guys will decide on your new buildings, how small and what you want to have your model. But for us, anything below 2 inches as diameter is not in the model. So.
Have you guys documented any ROI on this? I mean, I'm just curious from a.
Yes.
I mean, obviously we know pushing it on your new buildings, right? You get a huge ROI on the population of WebTMA.
Yeah.
Because you get to go from the model right there, but from an efficiency standpoint, I'm curious if you guys have tracked or know.
It's very similar to what Chuck said. We were showing, we kind of basically did a survey with our trades, and we were showing roughly around a $524,000 savings per year by doing this because of time.
In labor?
Time, yep,
Yeah.
labor, time. Because
Strauss has been an ROI
Correct.
presentation of that, but that was absolutely fabulous work.
Correct.
Devin's boss, where he called all of this out. It was
Correct.
Very specific ROI
Because
metrics on everything.
how we're set up is very similar to most of you. We have paper galore. We don't ship anything out. We don't archive it right now. It's all within what we call our document room that Janie oversees. So most of the time what our trades do is that they get a call or they need to understand how a piper's ran. They're coming from the shop, they're coming to the document room, and then they're spending time trying to find it. So they're going through our flat files, they're going through all of our, you know, we have bins of drawers of just stuff. And we don't even have everything because stuff has been scattered over time. You know, people have stuff in their own personal drawers, people have stuff over here at the stadium, people have stuff in their own shops. We don't have everything. So their biggest thing was they were frustrated because they couldn't find it. Then, you know, that's time. Now, by them being able to pull it up, that's what they were saying. They were seeing that they can save about 2 hours now because now with the O&M, so a lot of times that's all they're looking for is the O&M. They just want a part number. All they want is a part number. Now with them getting a part number on a belt, a part number on the air handler, a serial number if we have it, that's all I need. The only thing we don't have in here, we don't have, on our new buildings we do, on our existing buildings we don't, but on our new buildings we even go to we don't ask for it, but the CMs put it in there, they actually put the manufacturer, they put the contractor installed it. We don't ask for it, that's something they just put in there. And they also put the installation date. We don't ask for that date, but they put that date in there. So some of the stuff that we ask for, we may get that with our new buildings, just because the contractors are putting it in there. Yes?
How do you handle updates? So say they fix something or change out a part.
Yep.
So
That's one thing we're still working through. So we haven't. How we want to do it is how we do our space changes. Because what Jane's department does, as I mentioned to some of you before, she manages the simple floor plans or base plans, as you guys call them. We call them simple floor plans. So normally what's supposed to happen is if a building coordinator or trades go into a building and they see something that's significantly different from what the simple floor plan is, they will send a request into Janie saying, hey, the floor plan that you guys have on file is not right. So then our students will go out and do an assessment and basically document what that change was. They'll come back, update the simple floor plan, and then it's posted back to the server. They also update the model with that new floor plan. So what we want to do is kind of incorporate that same process is for the trades that they go out and replace the motor to let Janie's staff know, because right now the only people that update the model is Janie's team. That's it. The PM scheduler can't, the maintenance guys can't. The only person that can is Janie's team. So they would need to let her know that way they can basically change the Revit model and then push the new information into, because the way we have it, it goes back and forth. Revit is the perspective. So if I'm uploading something, if I want to, how I want to say it, if I want to import something into the Revit model, I'm importing from TMA into Revit. If I'm exporting something, I'm exporting it from Revit into TMA. Revit is the base. It's that's where information is coming from. That's where you can only change stuff. I can change stuff in our CMS, and then I'll just import it into the model. But just let you know, Revit is the
System of record.
Yep.
The CMMS is driving the attribution, Revit
Correct.
is driving the graphics.
Correct.
It's the classic example I taught this morning, separating the graphics and the
Correct.
attribution.
That's why we had the LED light going and showing it goes back and forth both ways. We can push and we can pull. The reason we set it up that way is, like Chuck said earlier, with our new buildings, what was happening before is that when a new building was done, our PM schedule would have to go out and put tags on every single piece of equipment and then hand enter it into the CMS database, which takes a lot of time. Now, it's just a click of a button. Once I get the Revit model, boom, we're basically going to export it into CMS.
Devon, at COA, Pete said the medical building was web TMA was populated 2 weeks before the building was turned over to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't maintain that building, but we wanted to basically get the information in there. That's maintained by a separate, I don't know who maintains it, but we wanted to use that as a reference. But yeah, we actually were able to export it. So that's why it was really key for us to be able to have this. So now, like with our res halls, I think our RAs are moving in this week. Students move in, I think, right around the 1st of August, somewhere around in there, I can't remember. So at some point in time, when we get the Revit model, we're basically going to push all that information into TMA. So, that's one less step that our PM schedule has to do of data entry and all that piece of equipment, because we have all that data.
No, you still have to go in though and put all the
Correct.
scheduled maintenance so that it knows.
We
when
still have to
write
do
it
all
in,
that, yes.
But at least the assets populated
Correct.
with its data.
Yes, that is correct.
Right.
So,
Get rid of that PM schedule.
any other questions I can help you with? So, I think I put some general stuff on the thing that you guys got. I think I put in the information. I think you guys got some background information and kind of our ROI that we put together on it. I think I gave this presentations on there, and I think I put something else on there as well. I think I put the original presentation I did for my APA, what kind of tells the other part of it, how we were, the process we went through of going from 2D drawings to our models and then incorporating the equipment into the models.
At the very beginning, when you opened up the model, I may have misheard, but you said that there was a choice on how you could review the model.
Yes, we have 3D views set up that our students set up that basically are basically overview, so you get like sectional areas, and then we have mechanical views. So they basically made viewpoints for all the mechanical rooms within the building.
It's still going through. It's still
Correct.
going through good.
It's just a landing point. That's how I do. That's how I like navigating the model. Some people may want to walk through the front door and gradually walk through it. I just want to get right there. I'm not patient. I just take me to the mechanical room. So I'm just going to the mechanical room and then I'll walk around.
I
So,
think if you hadn't done it that way, you got trying at all.
so that's how we
Dead on arrival.
so that's how we did it. So
You got it.
so.
I got it.